Hello guys, this is my 2003 Jeep Wrangler Rubicon, and this video is about my onboard air setup. So I have a York 210, pretty common route for most people, or a lot of people. So the intake side, actually fun fact, it is marked suction and discharge. So the intake or suction side, I have a regular air compressor filter hooked up, and then I have it piped going to the intake. And on the exhaust or outlet side, the first foot or so is first foot is the steel braided line, because it's gonna be really hot air coming out of this compressor. And then I have that going down to a oil catch can. Reason being is there's a little plug that you can plug inside the head of the or the York compressor, and if you don't do that, it's going to spew a lot of oil, and I don't want that going all throughout my system. So the oil catch can down here will separate out the oil and the air. If I had found out about it before I got everything installed, I would have taken this head off and did the oil modification so it doesn't spew out oil. So from there, I have my air being routed up through the top side of my Jeep, and just kind of ruts down. I wanted to avoid it going anywhere near the exhaust because it's a rubber hose. So I have it coming down here, and then it follows the frame rail until it comes up out of one of these floor pan holes, which is right there. So I just duct tape the hell out of it, wrap an old rag around it and duct tape the hell out of it so that it won't chafe and tear the hose. It's temporary, and then long term I got to figure out a better solution, like putting a 90 on it. So anyways, I have that fed through here. And then this right here, some people call them a genie valve or unloader valve. Basically what it does is, once the compressor shuts off, this will unload the pressure that's in the line all the way back to the compressor. So it does not have a really high startup pressure that the compressor has to work against. So it just bleeds it off. There's actually that tiny little hole right there is where it'll bleed out all the air pressure in the entire line up to the compressor. And this is also a check valve, so airflow is not going to go back down the line to the compressor. And then over here is the actuator. It's set, you can see right here, it says 145, but it actually stops at 150, and then turns it back on at 110. I also have an air hose so I can air up my tires. I just have that wrapped around just on my roll cage right there. And then on this side, I have one, which is this line, goes back to the front, and that's my pressure gauge. And then this one goes to my center console, which then is setting up my front and rear lockers. I have the stock Dana 44 lockers that these came with. I just took out all the electronics and plumbed it straight through so that, I can have these locked and unlocked whenever I want them, as opposed to, 4 low and below, what was it, 30 miles an hour or something like that. So here's where I mounted the pressure gauge. So this is for the tank. And then Dana 44 lockers only run on about 10 pounds of pressure. So I have a regulator that's actually in my center console, and I have that set to 10 psi, and then from there it splits off and feeds my gauge, so I can always keep an eye on the pressure in case the regulator fails and it's going to start blowing more air pressure. I can make sure I don't use my lockers. And then I have my switches right there. So up position is off, down is engaged. It's not the prettiest setup, but it works. So that's my onboard air system. and how everything's set up.